So we are talking about the movie Bad Building, which was released in the US in 2015. Here in the UK, it is released under the title Haunted, which came out in 2016. This one directed by Philip Granger. And it's a tale that you've heard many times before. We basically have a crew of a sort of paranormal investigation TV show, basically, going into a renownedly haunted building, basically. And of course, things started to become real. There's real ghosts in here, and it gets very dangerous very quickly. We've seen this countless times before, most notably from Grave Encounters, which I feel like I mentioned every other review when I do things like this movie. But there's a whole bunch of kind of lower budget ones that I've reviewed on this channel, probably ones I've even ever heard of as well. So this is a film where you've seen this kind of plot done countless times. Now, the interesting thing, not that interesting to be honest, but this isn't a found footage film. This is actually a traditional camera work. I actually feel it would have benefited from being found footage, and I say it because this film is so low budget. It's such a kind of amateurish film. I felt we could have really maybe got away with some of the kind of the problems that this film has if it was found footage, because as it stands at the moment, it just looks so amateurish. We have these kind of like really overly CGI'd exterior shots of the kind of the building, basically. Don't know why even they're in there. Just get some exterior shots of a spooky building, and then we walk through the different kind of rooms and corridors of this building. Clearly, it's different buildings, but they've kind of just had to kind of make it look huge and what have you. There's different lighting in each building. Sometimes it'll look day, sometimes it'll just kind of look completely dark. The decor is completely different. There is a throwaway line about, oh yeah, this building is made of like a composite of all different buildings. But that I feel is just a kind of excuse because they've had to film it in all these different locations. But that's not going to explain the difference in light and all these filters and stuff that they're trying to use to cover that up. The acting is pretty kind of amateurish. I mean, I have seen worse, but it's pretty amateurish. There's very little in regards to special effects. The visual effects here are more or less just a kind of basic kind of effects that you'll do on an actual camera itself, things like that. There are a couple of okay makeup effects, I would say. And I've got to say, despite the clear lack of experience, I do applaud the ambition in this movie and its filmmakers, basically, because they're clearly just sort of, wigging it to some degree. But overall, this film is kind of quite a slow film as well. You just seem to be spending too much time just wandering around these kind of corridors with characters you don't really care about and seem very kind of acting unrealistic when they do find things. No one really seems to be that kind of freaked out initially. They find one of their friends is dead and they kind of pretty much no one is freaking out too much about it. Stuff like this kind of bugs me. I'd love to see a horror film. Please, a horror director, make a film where people act realistically. It might not be the most cinematic thing, but my god, it'd be so cool to have a film that people act like real people instead of like the Hollywood cliches. So there's an idea, a free idea for a horror film. So any horror filmmaker out there, just make a film where people have real genuine reactions and act like you would do in real life. I'd totally watch it. Anyway, for me, this film was pretty much, I gotta be honest, it was a bit of a slog to sit through. Not very interesting. Like I said, I gotta give it maybe a little bit of a reprieve, because it's the ambition. I feel this is just not very experienced people making this, but nonetheless, it's not a really fun film to watch. I'm going to give this movie a 2 out of 10. There you go. So you have an extra 1 point there just because I feel that there's some ambition here. Anyway, probably worth avoiding, to be quite honest. This is the movie we're talking about. Haunted in the UK, Bad Building in the US. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.